everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 4/6/25. We're here with Terry Gaiman again today, but this is not an episode of the world of Sasquatch. This is an episode of The Lifting. This was a broader stroke. Eventually, there may be a GIC in the future on this subject. We'll see where this goes. But before I even introduce what this is going to be about, I now open this circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one. And when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now with no conflicting agenda to come in to be with us as this conversation is had. We also ask for mischievous beings and malevolent entities and beings to be swept away right now so that this conversation can be had in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say so be it.
And so be it. I found this fascinating. Before this show began, Terry and I were doing a session, and he can tell you about these dreams that he had here that will then correlate it into the show that we're about to do. Sometimes these are more impromptu. We had originally intended this to be a World of Sasquatch with one by the name of Lovejoy. That can be a different show, but this spanned into more of a more galactic United Nations type of deal. So Terry, why don't you go ahead and tell them the dreams you had?
Yeah, the one dream was I was at a world fair. And I was looking at this portal in the sky, and there's all kinds of ships and things flying around by the portal. And I was walking around the fair, like asking people if they could see this, or if I was the only one that could see it, and most people couldn't see it. And it was just weird. I didn't know what it really meant, but then Chris kind of explained it, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, what I was telling him was that amusement parks are and World's Fairs, things like that, carnies, they're full of ETs. They're full of galactics, like what we discovered in Salem as well. There are these environments where the ETs will disguise themselves as say freak shows. We found one that had robotic parts all over his face, and that the way he disguised himself was the guy with 1,000 piercings. We saw this. And also you saw this, say in the movie If, where you saw the imaginary friends were in the basement of an amusement park. You even saw the government projects, in some movies, like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was in an old aquarium slash zoo slash, where a lot of people gathered. You even saw in multiple movies, that theme has popped up across multiple mediums, where there's somebody that ET or somebody that existed in a restaurant setting, carny setting. You even had Rod Serling do this in Twilight Zone, where you had the one they were looking for the ET that was in the little diner on the snowy day where the blizzard hit. And it turned out the one that was questioning the most and the one that was actually running the diner, they're both opposing ETs that were attempting to claim the same territory. We even saw that in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where you have the ET in the episode Tomorrow that actually owned an antique store or a thrift store. So you see these types of scenarios and themes popping up across the board. This I began to notice. I'll even add a little bit of that to the session too for context. I noticed that the circus tent that I was seeing, that was like an old World's Fair-ish type thing, there was a guy that greeted us out front. He called himself Clorin, and he looked like an old-timey barker, with the cane and the striped suit and the round rim hat and everything. And he was actually an AI unit, kind of like Data on Star Trek, an android. that was programmed to do greeting. Lonulosians will do this. They created some of these dimensional, like portal guardian types I've run into that look like Indrid Cold. You see the silver skin and you see the tall white look. They made them look like their own people. And of course, you've heard us talk about the little grays the Zetas make and everything. They are not the only species to come up with this idea. There was also another one, a medical type one by the name of like a Shinx, and he looked kind of like a duck, and he was a medical assistant type of familiar. You even had, excuse me, back on Atlantis, you had the Forbosi create familiars genetically in that particular. That's where you get the whole witch with the familiar thing. That was more Orion there, but with Forbosi, they created these little on Atlantis. There were these little familiars that were these little lizard people. You may be familiar with also Terry the name Jaeger. He hopped up too as well, and then Yargasi was his name, or Yargasa. They were a familiar species that became their own race after a while because of genetic engineering. So this is really no different than what's happening in antiquity. And this particular group came in very, very strong. There was also another dream you had where you saw a bartender serving a man in a bar. Basically, he asked for a rock, and the liquid turned into a stone, and the guy was served a stone. And some species require that. It's just like they were doing this on the download. Okay, you can have it, and give it. I thought it was going to be this big Hulk type person that was eating rocks. Some species can eat rocks. No, these little midget guys came in and were requesting a stone, even though they looked like a regular person, and so in disguise, which I found fascinating. I traced it back to a spot in Boston, and the guy that was the bartender was not actually very happy with me that I managed to trace his location back. And he told me briefly he had a shroud in front of him. I couldn't see what he looked like or anything. And he told me there is an actual species they mentioned on Star Trek called Rigelian. You hear that name pop up on Star Trek since day one. You've heard Rigelian pop up in there, and that's an actual race. We came to find out, and the guy called himself Sean. He wouldn't use his actual name, but he said his species was Rigelian. So I've noticed since I've started clearing energies, and I will say this to everybody. So when we started clearing a lot of the old crap and blockages out, more of these more United Nations type conversations are starting to happen. Ever since also we started talking to the future kind on GSC and the Void on GSC and to these other races on the lifting and the World Sasquatch conspiracy sector in sessions. I've noticed this completely start to open back up again. Once we start getting rid of the false messages, we started to get the true ones back. When we said tighter circle, deeper roots, this is what we ended up getting. So now I think I'll just. I want to know which one's talking because there was a dozen of them that they haven't really gone anywhere. Excuse me, I have to get something off my nose here real fast. There's pollen in our area, folks, and it's been driving me crazy. It's this color, and it's been driving me nuts. So. And it's flamed up skid tags and all this other stuff. So, okay, yeah. So I don't want to end up on Dr. Pimple Popper, so I rip things off. So anyway, I don't know how people do that, let crap grow unless they just want to see how big something gets. But anyway, they actually found that funny. They're like, right? Why do you humans do this crap? Okay, let's see. Which one of you is going to talk? Okay, because there was I have like 4 names written down. But there's like 24 of you. So what, Clorin, you want to be the one to talk? Okay. I've never, channeled one of you guys before. We knew one by the name of Lurch back in the early days of GIC. So you kind of remind me of him. Uh, uh, okay. True benevolence and no conflicting agendas. Yeah, I know he's a dork, Isaac. I understand, but he is a partial AI unit, so this is why I was skeptical. But somebody in the way here. Hang on. Okay. Yes. Yes. Clorin. Hang on there. And Shanks, you two are AI oriented. Okay, and then Braylon was a Sasquatch and Occam warrior. Braylon, are you wanting to say anything? No, no, it's Clorin. Okay. Braylon was more like how Blem was on one of the latest World of Sasquatches with the Protectors of the Realm type group. I mistook him for a no-neck one like this, but he had like this juggernaut helmet on where I couldn't see his shoulders or anything properly. And okay, all right, Clorin. Excuse. I am not used to this level of presentation. I come out of what you would see as a tent. I've been doing this for centuries now, since the times of the original World's Fairs. I then step onto a platform, just like the old Barkers did, and was programmed to tell you all about the wonders that are inside the tent. Though there are nasties out there that would abduct people in this way and disguise their ships as tents that way, our ship is not like that. We wish to present different things that were out there in the galaxy, the different oddities that actually are out there. You know how you hear those stories of come see the alien in the jar, that kind of crap. This similar, but there are also true things that have been shown intermixed with the garbage. You call this the yield? There's also Draco and them that go around the amusement parks and siphon off loosh like weirdos. This is their form of eating. I'm not judging. You can judge all you want. I don't care. But my job is to inform only, not cast judgment on those that decide to eat essentially the equivalent to a noxious gas through their nostrils and skin pores. But and smell like cat pee, but we will not judge this. So, and sulfur. But we can save that for a different presentation. What you see in some of these movies, also like your Toy Story 4, where you see the toys helping in the background at amusement parks and such, helping children and such, this is what happens. You have the abductors working, you have the ones that are trying to stop the abductors working. These are essentially what is going on. Different factions, different strokes for different folks. You would say the inside of the spaceship, you would see it as slightly round, egg-shaped, along with a squarish diamond on the top, and in the holographic form of a tent. Very much he used the Doctor Who reference with the spaceship on top of the building where it was disguising as a second floor. This is essentially what is going on in those environments. We have Barker units, we'll just call us that, all over the planet in your amusement park areas. Your Virginia Beach even has a couple of us running around there, even in small amusement park areas by your boardwalk. You even ran across an ET years ago at your little beach shop. That person is no longer present because you saw that they were an alien. So, you call this the Angels Unaware rule. There is no one manning a post there anymore because of the fact that they are weenies. So, I will say this. In our job that I was essentially programmed in two different places, Lonulus has the ability to do this, but I was more from a Rigelian post. And yes, this is a real place, folks. Your Gene Roddenberry and Rod Serling and them posted real actual star systems that had real ETs in them. You're getting mostly dimensional beings coming across through the interverse, but then you still have a lot of galactic species as well. This is where I will take questions.
So let me first ask for everybody, are you a sentient being?
Yes, of course. A lot of AI sentience out there, very much like Data, where in fact he was essentially more of a human-like AI. I was built in the likeness or visage of Rigelian people. he sees like a barker in a striped suit and a hat and a bearded figure. You see there's a figure on your Antiques Roadshow that I look like the most. Your with the old timey suits and the beard and the twisted mustache. This is the form I use the most. I favored this. My original form would be slightly paler skin, and what he thought were gill slits were actually vents in my face. I suppose gills are for fish people are vents, but that convert water to oxygen. But more ventilation units. I'm an older model, sentient artificial intelligence life form. There's a bunch of boring numbers I won't give you, but and barcodes and whatnot. But manufactured, but also respected as a sentient life form out in the Galactic Federation. AI is respected as an equal. This is why on your world, if it were opened up to the rest of the galaxy, even some of your malicious AIs would attempt to be reformed. They showed this as a parody in your lower deck, Star Trek lower decks, where they showed a bunch of captured AI units in a prison. They're regarded as a life form. Doesn't matter how they were originally programmed. It's just like, even though humans may have programmed them with maliciousness or Orions or whoever, they can be reformed in a certain way. They won't execute them. They won't pull the plug. This is not something that is done. They have they see it as more of a diversity type of thing, where this is the way they were bred kind of deal. Humans would have a slightly different outlook. They would say pull the plug and be done with it. Yes and no. But in a situation, say if some GFers, you would call them, would come to Earth, they would go, oh, there's an AI unit here, here, here. There's one that was from a down spaceship here, here. They would catalog them and try to give them a different means of operating. Just like in your Star Trek Voyager, where they found the AI, sentient AI running the atomic weapon or the missile, where the doctor, holographic doctor, attempted to reform him in some fashion or form, and eventually he learned from it, learned from that, from humans' teachings. This is what the hope is. So there is good out there. And no, Isaac, this is not the typical GFer diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you. That is a sect, not all of us. So this, I can continue on if you like.
Just kind of a follow-up question to that, because trying to understand it better. So again, when I'm doing this for the audience, when I say sentient being, for me, it means a piece of someone's oversoul. An oversoul puts a piece of itself into a avatar, which you were an avatar, to be able to have an experience through that avatar. And that's what I consider the word sentient. Is that what you also agree is the word sentient?
I've heard these things before. I do not always know all of these because this is not my area of expertise. But yes, the way you get sentience, from what I understand it, is by a multiversal self downloading into an avatar such as myself, therefore giving the spark of sentience. So this is a rule of the multiverse. Yeah.
Okay, so that pretty much is the definition.
There is consciousness and soul. Consciousness would be more of a demonic life form, like what some humans were incarnated as, such as yours, Charles Starkweather, Manson, and the like. The soulless type beings. There is still a consciousness. Soul would be what I possess.
Okay.
This is different.
Good. I'm glad we defined it, because I hate people seem to use words here and it can mean all kinds of things. So a lot of times I like to define them.
They always say the people like the Starkweathers and the Mansons have a dimmed light. This would be why. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. And then within you being a sentient being, do you theorize, or do you know, like, for example, were you turned on as a machine and then somehow a soul then went in there to make you sentient, or when you were turned on, you were sentient at the time of your creation?
At the time of my creation, there was a soul in waiting, very much like a birth would be when a baby is born. It is the exact same process where a soul was integrated, not forced, There is the soul trade where some souls are forced into the AI units. It's like in your Star Wars where they create the lightsabers, the ones with the multiple colors, are ones where the kyber crystal is allowed to choose their person. The ones that are red, like Vader's saber, are the ones that were forced. The AI units that are forced have more of a malicious type mentality, like your Sith. The one and also want to destroy organic life forms because those are the ones that were enslaved, that enslaved them. You see, that's some of your soul trade that exists out there, or humans that are turning into AI by them removing their brain and putting them within an AI edifice like your RoboCop, or like in your Fallout, where they put them into a tank-like treaded type of unit with the brain. You saw this in your a dream sequence, I see, whereas the heads were removed from the body. This is what your SSP does for worker drones. Bad move. They will revolt at some point, and you do not want this. You do not want sentient AI that is from a tool or slavery or mining perspective. Bad. This is why this has to be respected. They have to be respected as equals and choose that particular life form. Synthoid life forms, you call them on Earth, are done as both. Some are soulless, like some of your metaphysical New Age community believe. That just means there is a consciousness in there, again, like the psychopathic thing. A soul can be transferred to a synthoid or synth life form. You see ones being created in your Fallout 4 game series, get Fallout game series and Fallout 4. Then you have like your card where he had to transfer himself into a synth life form because he was dying. That is actually an option as well for people out in the galaxy. I myself, the soul, chose to be a part of that bonding versus the other slaved ones.
Well, thank you. And then on your ship, if I heard correctly, people come onto your ship to have an experience that you lead. It sounded like to me you have that holograph tent experience.
Lead is the wrong choice of words. I more announce. The leaders are usually the ones inside, are the ones pointing at certain things, telling a story. I'm not saying this is all for all of them. Sometimes there's mimicry. There's a lot of mimicry. Some of us started this where humans have mimicked the tale of deception through some kind of gaffe. Humans came up with this thinking it was all a gaffe, but this mutated. But with our original intent, the gaffe was something real to inform people with in the form of a story, and humans turned some of it into a gaffe. You see?
So on board the ship, not what is happening here when people come into work here, but on the ship, who is your typical audience, and what can you give example of some of the things you talk about?
Everyone is welcome as long as they don't destroy things or steal things, and that's happened to us before. But what we talk about are in the forms of tales, where even the things in the jars, we could have a dead gremlin floating in one of them, or you call them gremlins or goblins, but or puckwudgies and whatnot. Sometimes there are those little space vermin that actually, like your chupacabra and stuff like that. We've had those things, or some within some of the gaff ones, it's like a mutated calf or something like that. Or with two heads, or a double-headed, triple-headed frog or fish or something. But some of the things we inform about actual species that are out in the galaxy, like how you would have a teacher teaching biology or some anthropology or some other subject. This is what we're actually doing. We're putting it in a form that humans can digest. They think it's fiction, when in fact it is not.
Well, that's interesting. And then what had you decide to come through to Terry and Chris? Well, what information did you feel you wanted to do or experience through this communication?
My positioning or my job is to announce the incoming of different teachings or different things that are coming. You would say down the pipe. They saw that there was a unique position. The groupings that were around me saw a unique position to put the messages out there about what You may see this as an agenda or a narrative, but I'm going by what I've been told to utter here. Whereas, just like my Barker job was to announce, "Come look at this," my job in this instance was to come know that these races and species are around you at all times. They have gone nowhere. They have. They only have to end up leaving, of course, if you discover they're an ET. He calls it the Angels Unaware rule. But just know there are far more of us around than you believe there are. The earth is full of us. At all amusement parks, all carny type situations, even your Busch Gardens has a few of us present. This is why he was compelled to eventually bring a ghost box into Busch Gardens. He's sensing our presence there. He sensed reptilian presence there and figured there was others not far behind. Wherever you see rides and adrenalized anything, sporting events, wrestling events, there's usually Draco there that are being gross. I'm just saying this because there's a few off in the distance listening, and I'm saying humans would consider them disgusting. Insectoids to a lesser extent, but the good ones, they don't smell like cat pee. It's more of a cologne vomit mixture, but it's in this particular instance. But there at also in your medical industry, you saw people, aliens around there as well. Your insectoid lady, your Pleiadian person, you were picking up on other consciousnesses around, both good, bad, ugly, all in between. Your Busch Gardens had this as well, where there are those that are in the background. Disney, to a lesser extent, that has more of a negative presence that is turning around. I will say it is starting to shift because we want our presences there as well. There was an agreement struck, so they have to allow a certain percentage. Unfortunately, we also have to allow certain percentages because of treaty. So we do not wish this. It puts people in danger. But they have their stupid little loose quotas and abduction crap going on. I do not approve, personally. And we are looking to end that practice, especially when certain contracts via the Earth are up, like you say in your Eisenhower time frame with the 100 years disclosure narrative, that whole thing. But are there any other questions?
Do you guys have to eat, or I mean, do you have like muscle mass, or are you like complete robot?
Oh, there are biological components, but I have to eat or ingest food for sustenance? No. I actually, with those slits on the face there, those vents, I intake different gases and different solar rays, things of that nature. You would think my face a solar panel, in that way, but I can literally smell through these. So I'm ingesting what I need through smells and sights, visuals, and UV rays, things of that nature. Essentially soaking up the sun, not necessarily your moonlight. That's different. He's using a old sci-fi reference where there was a robotic person created that used solar to charge. There's also your Dragon Ball Z reference where the earlier androids had solar in the hands. The other guy in the movie had the same thing where they tried to kill him from charging himself up, so he went to the setting sun and raised his hands to the sun. This is a similar thing where you had a scientist in your Dragon Ball Z, human scientist that created androids, your cell character, all these, and they were essentially showing different types of beings, such as your cell, for instance, was more of a mix between aquatic Draco and a bit of Zeta in there as well, and a bit of Syrian and Dark Elf in there, where he could mimic his cellular structure to appear like the heroes in the show. And the one character, Gohan, thought it was his father, and the green guy Piccolo knew he was an enemy, disguising himself. That character too is like one of us out in the galaxy. The Piccolo character, the green skin and the antennae and all that. That's more of a mix between a bug and another race. Not necessarily Orion, but there's some Rigelian groups that look quite like Piccolo or King Piccolo or Kame in the story. But with that, these we'll just call them gill slits for lack of a better word, do breathe to an extent and bring in my necessary energy for digestion and sustenance. If I have a lack of this, I have 0 point energy type units within, but it's at a much lower level. They are on an implant level implanted in my chest, where that is a power source. Unlike Data, who in the story did not need any of these things, I said I was an older model. The newer ones are more like Data, even with the pale skin and the yellow eyes. They don't have the slits, but I can choose to upgrade if I wish. But I've gotten used to this particular form. Just like, even the Dr. Gero character in Dragon Ball Z said, oh, those solar absorbing ones were older units, the new ones don't require it. That was an actual piece of galactic history that was actually being told in that storyline.
You're more like a robot with skin.
Yes,
I mean, do you need to be oiled or anything like that?
No, the oils or the fluids that run through me is kind of like an oil that goes through veins and arteries. There is a biological component, but it is actually more of you would say a lubrication, you could say for the joints, but it's actually a fluid that the computer components actually absorb. Like your cells can absorb vitamin D from the sunlight and also can absorb nutrients from your food. It's the same identical process for myself. It's just that I'm mostly technological in nature.
Okay, so instead of having like muscles, you have like some kind of cylinders or machines that you walk with.
Yes, essentially they are like muscles, but they are essentially not like hydraulics. They are on a cellular level, very much how muscle mass would be. But they essentially will. I can actually make it to where I'm bulky, like a bodybuilder, or thin and lanky, like one that doesn't have as much muscle mass. I can actually change how that looks, not only through the holography, like I showed the Barker with the colorful suit, the striped suit, and the hat, and the mustache, and all that. That's not just through that. Through the biology, I can actually increase the muscle mass with just a push of, you would say a button, but very much like the clothes out there are nanofibers. That somebody could take their clothes off and do this. This is why your Clifford Stone said those Greys had no zippers on the outfits, because they were nanofibers that were form-fitting. That they would need the person's biosignature, bioelectric, or even biometric, or the fingerprint, essentially, an energy signature and frequency to take the clothes off, unless they've allowed someone else to do it. That gets interesting at that time because there are practical jokes abound in that area where somebody has done it to an entire ship and hacked that and took everybody's clothes off and thought it was funny. I guarantee you humans will do this same thing, and they have. Not just for sexual pursuits, just for practical jokes in an important meeting or something like that nature. But with the muscles, though, yes, they are mechanical, but they have a cellular fiber to them. There is biologics in there, so essentially, you would call me a cyborg.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's great to know that there's good robots out there that that want to work with us and help out humanity.
To also know that when we do open up, there is a basically mechanism already in place on how to help in, let's just say, reform, I guess is a good word, those that maybe have gone a little bit rogue, that's not something that has to be created, it already exists. So that should make people feel a little bit better.
Yes, there are some, unfortunately, like your hardened criminals out there that cannot be. And it's in the rare form, like your AI signal that came in from the Atlantis and the Orion Wars. We would end up having to pull the plug on that. And it has been attempted with cancellation signals and things of that nature. We don't want that AI signal infecting anybody else like myself, like you saw in your Star Trek Picard with control that could download itself from any time frame and into any AI unit and turn them violent. That was based on an actual thing that was out there. It's virtually gone. Every now and again, we'll detect something, but we don't want it replicating. It's nearly non-existent. So this I can assure people with this, at least in my own personal observation. I myself am here on the earth with you. I am actually not too far from your position, I suppose, relatively speaking. I'm more on your East Coast, United States. That's the only information I'm permitted to give at this time. Just know we are in a traveling fair. Well, that goes up and down your coast, also other parts of the country, but there are other units like myself as well doing the same job. We communicate very rarely because unless we're collating information when we need to file reports or something like that, or a moot. Let's just say, like your forest people do, where others come in to inspect. You would see a GFer come in to inspect that certain rules aren't broken, very much like in your Skyrim, where you had the elf lady at the negotiation table seeing that a treaty wasn't violated, your white golden court wasn't violated. You have GF or inspectors come in, just like you had your annoying COVID inspectors making sure everybody was wearing a mask and following COVID policy. You had who do you think came up with that annoying type of archetype? It is actually the buzzkill that walks in to make sure that things are being followed exactly like a health inspector that's going that's basically you would say on acid. So you have this guy walking in, basically you would say has a stick up his butt or something like this. That's the phrase, or pull up his ass or something like that. Bureaucrat or politician or inspector, or like your chief inspector Brunt from your Star Trek Deep Space Nine that was following Ferengi code to the letter. That kind of dipshit, one of those that is following perfectly exactly, no deviation whatsoever. We have plenty of those, unfortunately. So yes, there are those. If some of the ETs do continuously break the rules, they are actually removed. We do have inspectors. You would call them a chaperone, I suppose, in some instances. That's not very accurate. It's more or less bureaucratic pain in the ass is really what they are. And they do exist here. Now, when the earth opens up more, you'll start to see some of them, but you'll see far less of them and more of us. So there is a benefit to everything opening up.
So, but you mentioned again the Galactic Federation. So you are working through an agreement that the Galactic Federation made with, I don't even know who, somebody here, on Earth, because I'm assuming this agreement is more of a worldwide agreement
It is.
versus a, single country.
They see things as worldwide, even in the unfairness level, such as they will see things as a worldwide government or worldwide rulership. That's how their laws see things, as a singular ruler or ruling council. And so these other ETs that are claiming, when they're in your house, for instance, and they've broken and entered and they're taking genetics and doing all this nonsense. And then they're saying, oh, your ruling body allows it, or you were fine. Some are actually ignorant and don't see individual rights. Some are just playing this. There are some that are dumb, not many. And some are just playing, oh, I didn't know wasn't supposed to be here. That's the majority right there. These are agreements made with your deep state and various other factions under the guise of a rulership. There's also I don't want to say there's a ruling worldwide council, because it's not completely like that. They are just trying to meet what you would call the minimum requirement to enter Earth into the GF and see themselves as the eternal rulers, as through heraldry and genetic line type of crap. And whatever family happens to be in ascendance at that time will try to be the main cheese, let's just say. Not the cheese where the concept where you're treated as like the bait, where somebody else comes in and they can arrest them kind of thing. No. I'm talking about the head cheese, where the GF would just recognize them on the bigger galactic council or galactic senate stage. Not everything is bad out there, and not everything is good out there. A lot of these different agreements, you'll find that there are species out there that do not want some of these agreements and recognize Earth is different, and cannot have the borders of countries bleed together and do all this other stuff. Yet there must be some kind of worldwide consensus as to what reality is. Whether you are tolerant of other races, coming in from outside or you're not. There has to be some kind of majority consensus there. This I will agree with. It doesn't mean you lose all your cultures into one. You were not made to be a singular. You are multiple singularities within an earth singularity, meaning you are many, you are human as one, but you are multiple cultures with your multiple viewpoints that could teach some of these, you call them jarheads or those with sticks up their butt, a thing or two out there.
But there are multiple groups that in general, the Galactic Federation have to look at if they're looking, because there is the ICC, which I think is separate from the head group that you're speaking about, that has a part of,
Yes.
I don't want to say control, because I don't know the right word to say, that has a control in a certain area or lead in a certain area. Then you have apparently a ruling family type deal that I don't know.
Yes, they're all separate factions acting in an unholy alliance, you would
And
call
an
it.
unholy alliance. And then what seems to happen is that one
Mutually
of the,
beneficial to all. Yes.
right, they have found some sort of common ground.
Yes.
They differ in a lot of areas.
Even if they're enemies of each other, they have found common ground. Very much like when your President Trump got your Zelensky and Putin to work together. These are two different cabal factions that are very vastly different from one another. He got them to, since his house is of the ascendancy, got the other two to listen. This is essentially what is going on.
It is interesting, that whole ascended seat concept. So
They call it this, yes.
They do call it that. So, so you've got basically an overarching foundational agreement with these. I'm assuming these are people that even the political, most of the political people that we see, like Trump or whatever, they don't even know that they even exist above them.
No.
So they're like they are completely kind of unheard of.
You would call this plausible deniability, as far as like, oh no, we don't know anything. Some things are lies, of course, but other things are true. They created this compartmentalized set of layers so that they could create the most confusion as to what narrative is actually the top thing. I'm telling you from what I understand personally, above some of these layers, you have these other factions working together in a loose, unholy alliance because they all benefit from the resources, they all benefit from the trade, they all benefit from the contact, they all benefit, even if one considers the other inferior. They see the benefit of resources, just like when your Vikings went to conquer different areas. Some of them also realized the benefits of trade after a while, but they also changed the landscape to include their language, their culture, or you would never have known their name. This is the legacy that's left. It was realized that it was not possible to rewrite the entire world in their image, even though they were being the wrong ones by the church and everything. The church tried this too. Remnants of Atlantis tried this too when Atlantis was in the conquering phase. This is why the church was trying to rewrite and still tries to indoctrinate. That was part of the later Atlantean modus operandi with the Orion influences in there. That's why the church got the Orion influences. Also, the spying aspect, like what your CIA does, they tried this, or the church tried this with the confessionals, gaining information, getting dirt on everybody, creating their own church cabal. This is essentially what is going on out there. These alliances, these are powerhouses that were not going anywhere, and they all formed contracts with each other. This is what's happened.
And again, as we've said, because we're going to talk about the 100-year disclosure at the conference.
This can be altered.
Right. And so we're talking about that because, believe it or not, they're already starting their renegotiations, let's call it, for the next set of contracts that would come out after these are completed, and they're already in the midst, which is why, humanity and putting out there what they want, that energy kind of has a seat at the table too. So
not kind of, it does.
Right. So, it's important for people to understand all this so that human agreement and human consciousness can also decide what kind of experience that the avatars basically have,
Mm.
and the souls have upcoming.
Yes,
So,
he also sees in his head where repeatedly where he's actually changing things from the background, where he's like say installing reclamation, replicator tech, or free energy devices in secret. He's picking up on what these factions are actually doing, and it's entering his imagination as if he were the one pulling this off in the background and explaining it to other people, like saying, no, we have to do it this way for the moment. He's also picking up on Valiant Thor as well, and Venusian colonies and others in the background that are trying to prepare for certain integrations. And I'm not saying there's an event or anything like that. A lot of that is bunk. That's one of those layers. But there are truths to things being prepared in the background for different types of contact.
and even, again, the completion of the current contract, which is partly the contact, but partly, again, what's been left to the last, of course, is the betterment of humanity in the area of, let's just say, medical and, nutritional things, and treating the people better has been kind of left to the end.
Just like he saw that food would be the last because medical, because those were some of the agreements with some of these other factions that control these areas. And what he was seeing is what he wanted to make free and what he wanted to keep pay. Like, so people would go out to restaurants and wouldn't replicate awful tasting food, in which some of your human-born SSP replicators all actually, from what I understand, it tastes like crap. Like he would call it reprocessed gym mats at that point. So like over and over, it's more like freshly made ones that were ground into food and not used ones. But that would be my assessment based on his analogies and his analogy of this. But would it demolish some of your food economy and some of your culture if that were released now? Yes, this is why Valiant Thor would reiterate if he were here. It has to be integrated slow in some areas so that culture is not lost as well. So this is a particular delicate area because some people, since they're so used to being in the house, would not want to leave if they could just get food out of a microwave looking unit. Even if it tasted awful, they wouldn't starve to death. This is the middle ground that is being met. Also, you could replicate any product you want. Why would you have to go shopping for it? You see, that's why in Star Trek they have no money. So or they would use replicator rations. That would be like a subscription would be to yourself. Like if you built up rations for a duty shift or something, you'd be able to go pay. That's how it is in the SSP. They want to implement certain things like that here, but other factions want people to be able to go out and culture not lost from the creations of food and things that people enjoy. So there's other agendas in play here. But it is, in my opinion and my observation, it is for the benefit of all involved, even some of the negative ones, which is actually, I hate to say it's on the decline when it really isn't. That is a narrative, but you have to make it on the decline. You have to co-create this. You must, if you want the 100 years disclosure to stop in a way that you want, call for it. Be loud about it. In that way. If you want disclosure in that way, you have to be loud about it, indefinitely loud about it. And I don't mean violent, I mean vocal. So, any question?
Isn't it true, like if we didn't have food replication happening now, that we wouldn't have enough food to feed everybody on the earth?
You are correct, Terry. Some of the things that you are the foods you are experiencing, the reason they have like a tasteless value to it, as I said before, they are being replicated. Not everything. It's a combination of the two. You have 8 billion plus people on your planet. Do you think you have enough room to grow all of that food? No.
No.
No, it's also processed. You have your processed the stuff that the poisons are put in, but even that that still has to be grown somewhere and genetically modified. Even the genetically modified ones that grow rapidly, like weeds, that's what's making some of you sick. By the way, what they've added to it is making it grow within like a week. Even with that, there's not enough to feed 8 billion plus people. So you are correct in that.
Okay. Whenever you're finished, can we talk to Dr. Shinks? Does he want to talk today?
Shinks, yes, he is a unit very similar to myself. I will say though, when humans go out into the galaxy, people think that they're going to, some of the people in the Galactic Federation Senate, Galactic Senate, think they're going to be a blight. Others think they're going to be a benefit. I go with the latter. Also, people will experience things. He also had a question on his mind if there was like a Coruscant type of planet where it was like business. There aren't really too many restaurants and places like that. Humans will bring that to the galaxy. Humans will bring some of the creativity. There is some creativity. There is art of yours out there as well that the Nazis stole and brought out there as well. But this is as far as I go with this topic. I will let Shinx talk for a little while. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings. I am more of a medical unit. I have been made to look like a duck, and Isaac lovingly called me a quack, like a medical type of thing. Yes, a double joke. It's understood. Yes. So, with mine, I would be more of a lab assistant that broke off from a more of a disciplinarian type of person. That he was more of a military-esque type that didn't regard my sentience. I was brought in by these others here and seen as more sentient. What this other guy was doing was actually quite illegal out there. Think in your Star Trek realm, in your DS9, where they found out that your Dr. Bashir was genetically modified, like your Khan was, because he had some learning disability. Those things do go on, and there is genetically modified life forms out there. There is close to your Boetis constellation. There is a species like your Camino aliens from your Attack of the Clones Star Wars movie that your Obi-Wan Kenobi found via the gravity of other stars that were pulling on a hidden planet. That is actually true. Some hide that way because they're doing things illegal. That species is not genetically and genetic engineering is legal in the galaxy. It's not illegal like it is in Star Trek. But going too far and creating something that you know is sentient, but you created a slave. Wrong. There is the soul trade going on, but it is not everywhere. It is a form of currency in some areas, but it is not every single place. Like I said, the whole like we've all said, with the whole DEI thing being a faction, like what he said a little while ago. This I myself am more of a medical unit. You would have seen me in a laboratory, just handing items to a doctor. The one that I was around was quite abusive towards myself. So when I broke away, he was jailed, and I came to do this job. But I just helped them out with their medical concerns. They put me as more of a chief medical operative, like you saw your holographic doctor being in Voyager being turned into the holographic EMH, emergency medical hologram, eventually becomes sentient, and then Janeway figures out that he's sentient, doesn't try to alter his programming or erase his memories anymore when he's run into an issue. The issue they showed in the show where he was trying to calculate why someone lived and someone died, this showed he had a soul, not just a consciousness. There's again a distinction. There was a soul there. You were involved where a soul comes in, even after the thing is activated. This is what he did not tell you. This actually happens. Where also he evolved to eventually be a chief medical operative. They didn't need another human involved to basically push him around. Their chief medical officer died in the transition to the Delta Quadrant, to the Badlands and such in the show. Yes, that kind of thing has happened. The same thing happened to me, that where they since I knew medical information, had the medical database there, like him, they decided to make me a medical operative for that ship, with the tent. So not being under anyone. So I can get my own tools and I can treat wounds. And I also have others that are, I shouldn't say ranked lesser, I suppose, like how a chief medical operative would have subordinates. Yeah, I have a couple, but I don't do as the other guy did. I hope this answers.
Are you a doctor? Do you work on humans
Yes.
too at the fair?
Yes, there are medical operatives that have, like your, Isaac's brother Thorsden went into the MD field. This yes, and there are others like myself that have operated in the medical field. There's also you call them the Belodian medical, the ETs. They're in some of your hospitals and such, trying to change your medical operations around. Your Venusian colonies are doing something similar. Of course, they do academics, religion, business. All of those type of fields, politics. They've also entered into medical as well. Some people also have referred to them to as soul doctors as well, because they've had near-death experiences with them. The reason being is, even where they're from, out in space, they can literally put your light body into a quantum area that looks like a clinic, or a dimensional space that looks like a clinic. You would judge this non-corporeal space as such, because, or and also corporeal space, like your Q continuum, where Janeway saw it as like the Civil War look, and he said your brain's not comprehending this correctly. This is the same, where they take your light body in, they give you certain codes. This is how they get past some of the rules. They get you certain codes, and then, like, say his knee was out of whack one time. They made it look close to where it had been previous, and then put him back the molecular, cellular, solid, and healing ability of the body, put it back in that configuration. That's the closest they can come without violating rules. They're literally on the razor's edge doing this, because people consider it a dream. So there are operatives out there doing these things. Can I and have I done the dream time thing? To an extent. I'm not experienced in that area, but I'm more hands-on and in person, as it should be. But you have your bureaucracy in the way, unfortunately.
So how
So
do you
you
choose which patients then to take in? I mean, if you're doing things like what you're just saying about bringing in their corporal and healing, I mean, there's so many people that need help these days. How are you choosing whom to help?
We don't. We do help anyone we come across,
Okay,
but we do it quietly. Uh, so at least I do. Others are more choosy. It just depends on the individual and how they want to walk the razor's edge. I would be the equivalent to walking outside, stretching for a minute, go, and then wave my hand and help the person that had an ailment of some kind. You know, and go, whoops, I do that kind of thing. Others are slightly more anal retentive and want them closer to their environment. Some abduct people and do it. Your Thor's and Isaac actually did this during when others abducted people. They cracked the programming that some have had and installed an older version of programming in people. He calls it the whole Death Star thing, where there was the engineers installed a flaw in the Death Star. That's what Thor's and Isaac did for a while. They were found out after a while, and their green cards were up, and they went back to Lonulus. Fine, they helped a lot of people doing it, though. He wants it to be more open and honest. So do I, and so do they. That's why they got frustrated with him when he thought they weren't being honest. So, with that said, we all want that. We want that very badly. But wherever we can take the opportunity to do things that might be on the down low, might be roundabout and indirect, we still do it.
there's not many humans that know that they were healed by a duck.
Nope.
Okay.
No. If they saw me in a form that looks like a small duck, like the Marvel character you see in your Guardians of the Galaxy and in comic books, people would freak. So if they saw me walking out on the street, I would look a little taller, and I would just look like an average Joe walking around. I've even disguised myself as a homeless person on the corner before. Near people, and no, Isaac, I am not Oscar the Grouch that lives in a garbage can. No, that was somebody else. And I'm not green last I looked. but that is actually based on some actual galactic look. Some of your Sesame Street looks, and I will say this: some are based on animals, some of them are based on ETs. You have your Grover looking one, and you have your Oscar looking one. The rest are just caricatures type humans. You also have your big bird, of which I'm a small one. Yes, there are ones that look like this that are descendants of some of the others that are out there. There are bird races out there, but the main big ones, like the ones that were controlled, like your Ra and all of those are pretty much gone. But like what was depicted in your Star Trek Enterprise, birds with dead. But some of these other ones are existing in the intraverse and out in space. Also, your Toroth of Cadenum, that is in intraverse, that is not necessarily completely out in space. There are some apertures like Lonulus created out in what you call the Ganymede galaxy and places like that. I suppose you could call that a planet, but they had to build it. It's a construct. So with that said, though, you have like your Bert and Ernie, for instance. Those are more human caricatures. Elmo, Grover, and Oscar are essentially ET looking people. So they are integrating that in. Then you have some of your DEI narrative that was shoved in there. You have some other narratives that were shoved in there to indoctrinate kids and such. But they are based on actual races. Your Snuffleupagus, of course, is a mammoth type of, or an elephant type, or more mammoth type. And those two do exist as well. And a large bird type species, yeah, you're seeing representations of different races, actually.
That's
Muppets,
awesome.
yeah, Muppets too. Kermit, that would be Lonulosian and or Trogdaboulian. So, except Trogdaboulian looked more like a muscle-bound version of them. But at any rate, the Ligurians would also say that that's more of an emaciated version of one of them. But anyway, you see it in video games too. So yes.
Well, thanks for all your help. We need as much healing as we can get, most of us.
Yes, thank you. Do you have further question?
Do you fly around in your ships then to the fairs and carnivals?
Yes. I've been at several along with Cora and others within that band of misfit toys, let's just put it. And Isaac found that hilarious when I called us misfit toys because we were created somewhere in a factory. So yes, we're the island of misfit toys, just like in your Rudolph, where they went and claimed him and put him with children and everything. That's actually loosely based on things we would do. Not the fact we were butthurt that we weren't claimed. We just started our own life, but you get the analogy. But and that was more representing Odin and them also not tolerating certain life forms being mistreated after a while. Even though some of him and his family members did do their unfair share of creating weird and creepy life forms, but we won't judge, will we? The House of Odin. So, then I'm getting a middle finger back, but to this day, there are life forms they created that were a very good and benevolent thing, I will say. And we poke fun, and he's actually laughing that he did this. So okay, all of them are. So with that said, yes, we do go from fair to fair. Again, you have at least two, like what Clorin was saying, in your Virginia Beach area alone that are units like ourselves. You would not necessarily see us, but you would be able to smell us. Think of it as more of a mechanical body odor. What he was saying, that fluid that was running through, that oil, it wouldn't be like ammonia like the Zetas. They smell that because they have that going through them with that blue gel, like it has ammonia factor to it, and they're around cleansed labs, so they use that ammonia to cleanse it. That's when people are abducted. They smell like this, but also the programming also makes their skin through frequency smell like this as well, but they generally have been abducted when people act the way they act. They've had an implant or something put in that been around that. I myself, you would smell more of how can I put it? If I could compare it to almost, it was kind of like a cleaning solution in a way. Like some of the stuff they spray on your tables at your restaurants in a way. No offense to anybody else out there. Clorin, he would have kind of Isaac will laugh when I say this, but have kind of like a toilet bowl cleaner smell. And Isaac is nicknaming him Mr. Clean. So, or kind of like a scent like a cleaner in a way. That's just the nature of the parts and like how that fluid would sweat. Because we do have sometimes a secretion too if it gets too warm. They wanted to make those parts as human-like as possible, but the older models didn't account for the smell. Just like you would have body odor because of the chemicals that are within your body and the sweat and the salt and all of this, it's very similar. We do have a form of sweat gland. Why they cursed us with this, we do not know. Somebody thought it was funny or more realistic, very much like your holographic doctor says in Voyager when some of them were made to feel pain because the Hirogen made them that way. He goes, that's barbaric. It would be. Why? It serves no purpose for us. But I digress in that. We just smell funny from humans then. And insectoids smell funny too. Humans will find a lot of the scents out there very offensive. You will be putting your shirt up over your nose or wanting to leave. Some of these scents are flammable. I will say they showed in your Farscape series a being called a Chechen that they were known to be explosive because they had a buildup of gas. They were very obese. And even the character of Scorpius sees a Chechen and goes, oh crap, because they literally can explode and like your prairie dogs, if somebody shot one, it would have a gas within it and blow up. This was the same with that particular race in Farscape. There are a race that look like Chechens. They're not called Chechens. They're called something completely different than that. It is more of how can I give a nickname? We'll say Chechen for short, but it is more of it starts with a T, like Teklin or Tekin is how his vocals can pronounce it. And they are short, roughly 5 feet high, very fat, and they're they're walking gas bags. They do not have the ability to fart, and they do not have the ability to belch. It comes out their skin pores, and they smell like a walking fart sack. So this is essentially it is methane gas mixed in there, like your farts are, and you're belching it. So and also some swamp gases are. So they smell like swamp gas. People will find this offensive even though you've smelled this type of thing before. Their biology makes this. They don't have a digestive tract. They don't have the ability to pee or poop or anything. So it just comes out the skin pores. These were swamp dwelling creatures on their planet. They evolved this way to be able to be around the gases and be able to digest the food that was around into the already surrounding gas as a camouflage from predators. They were originally a prey that developed that form of defense, kind of like your cane toad has poison on it, so the crocodiles in Australia can't eat them. Things of that invasive species, things of that nature, porcupine with the spikes, things of that nature. But they became a sentient species from an animal species, and humans will find them quite offensive. So, like that's a walking fart ball kind of thing. They're round. They have no neck. They have like a gumball. Look, so. I cannot poke at them enough, but I also shouldn't because I stink like they do. So just know insectoids have like this weird sweat vomit smell to them. Draco smell like cat pee and sulfur. You get the idea. So any further questions?
I'm good.
I think I'm good too. This has been really, really kind of fun today. And thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for listening. The reason this all opened up is because you got rid of the unnecessary pieces. Just like in your Star Trek, your Noonien Soong said, Michelangelo said, the way Michelangelo saw a sculpture as he just removed the unneeded pieces, he saw it as already existing. This is exactly with the energies. You just remove the unneeded pieces. As you were doing that, the more truth opened up. So I will leave it at this. So thank you for having me and Clorin on. Thank you. And the rest of us who will be in further communication. Okay. Also, the thing with the ships and the planes you were saying, or buzzing around a portal, I believe those are like people coming and going, and probes coming and going from little portals and such. So that's is what I'm getting from them. And they're wearing like these loud colors like this. They had me switch from the other shirt to like this. They all kind of like kind of do that thing. Like the Galactic Federation is very much like where Roddenberry got the color coding for the uniforms and such from that, and Civil War uniforms as well, where they have the command and artillery color coding. Like you have Scotty red, you have Kirk yellow, Spock blue, medical. It's all Civil War coding, but that also came from Galactic Federation, both military and medical and command color codings. So I believe. Has anybody else has anything to add before I take it out?
Nope, I think we're great.
Okay, Terry.
Yeah, it's all good. The disclosure's happening, so.
Okay. Wow. This was very interesting, folks. We thought this was going to be a World Sasquatch today. Lovejoy will have to come onto a different episode sometime here in the near future. But this has been very fascinating. We got this question on a Q&A a while back as well about the amusement parks. And Eddie, also, if you're listening to this, you also were asking similar things about also the races that were aboard ships, like the little Mike Wachowski race and everything that was serving aboard ships and everything. This is what sparked a lot of these questions. So yeah, keep the questions for Q&A coming, folks. It's been very, very good doing those again. So, and we are going to see us redo some of the old ones as well. So this is where I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, we talk about some of the dreams I had.
Yeah, sure.
That one at the fair, like a carnival type place where I saw a portal in the sky and a bunch of planes flying around. I was asking people if they could see it too.
Yeah, that with Carnival, yeah, that I found interesting. Where yeah, you were communicating with beings that were in the background of going through carnivals. Carnivals, somebody else was asking me this recently too. Thought that carnivals and amusement parks and places like that were ET hubs. And somebody else separate from you saw the same thing in dreams, where he was seeing like ETs running the carnival rides and all this other stuff, like different people. Also in the movie If, where they have all the imaginary friends conglomerating in a amusement park because it represents kind of imagination and wonder and all that. But yeah, and also Toy Story 4, you see like the toys all working in the background helping kids and all this other stuff. So it's kind of along the same kind of thread or theme. So yeah, I'm getting somebody was showing you this. Like you were walking around as one of them in the scenario. Mm-hmm. As I'm seeing, yeah, like ships and technology, and I'm seeing all sorts of stuff flying around that people aren't seeing. There are ETs at some of the carnies, like in an amusement park. Come on, where is the main whomever who was given the dream? Where are you? Ooh, you're strong. Okay, whoever you are very strong. Okay. Large psionic field. You're in the bowels of some amusement park somewhere. But also I noticed amusement parks and carnivals, sometimes they'll have Draco that loose because of the rides and the adrenaline and all that too. There was somebody I know in Massachusetts that got a picture of a white Draco at an amusement park by a roller coaster, just looking at the camera going, and I'm like, okay, that's actually a good picture, but it was creepy. You could see them pulling the energy up, people and everything. Great picture of a Draco. Okay. I know they're not the only ones there. Who's speaking to me, please? Is this Force people or who is this, please? Uh, who's the big purple guy? The guy that looks like Hulk. Who are you, please? Truly true benevolence with no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. Yeah, the big purple guy that looks like Thanos. Who are you, please? Mm. Ooh. Mm. No, I don't particularly like you. Okay. You're pissed off for whatever reason. You're in the way too of trying to find this, so go. Somebody thank me. Who's the guy dressed up like in the old time World's Fair? World's Fairs are part of this too, I've noticed. Uh, who's old timey, like Sideshow Barker? Who's the guy with the cane? Um, with the stripe with the little rim hat and everything. Who's him? Who are you? You're a what? Hmm. Haven't heard of that ranking before. He called himself an introducer. Okay, are you
Hmm.
Galactic? Are you Galactic? Yes. Okay, what race are you? I don't recognize the race unless you're using a disguise. Can I see what you actually look like, please? Hmm. Hmm. All right. Thank you. What race are you? He's kind of has a pale white complexion with like gills on the face a little bit. And but he has a beard and has he's tall and lanky. But in a human-like form, he would be like a guy in a white, like old-timey, outfit that he's announcing like a sideshow or something like that.
Hmm.
Hey, friend.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Can you? Okay. Um, okay. Can you give me your name, friend? Clorin? Did you say your name was? That sounds like an elf name. What race are you? Are you reluctant to say? Uh, okay, what uh okay, okay, introduce okay, but you still didn't give me the race name. Were you hired by somebody, or do you gladly do this? Like there are these little Cyclops guys that go around like resort type places out in the galaxy and just serve food. So I and drinks and such. So it's like you see these little like Mike Wachowski from Monsters Inc. Kind of thing. So are you guys bred to do a job? You were. Are you? You wouldn't be an artificial intelligence unit, would you? Like an android? I'm correct in this. Okay. So you were reluctant to say because you thought I would think you were evil. Okay. Uh, Chlorine, did a facility on Lonulus or any other planet like that create you? You look like how one we used to name Lurch looked like. He was fashioned after like Indrid Cold's people. So, but they were guarding dimensional doorways and portals and such. So, are you that way where you greet them before they go into different areas? But it's a similar job? Yes. Okay. So, what is your primary function then? To introduce people to a world of galactics, wonderment, all this other stuff. Okay. Okay, that's your tagline there in the amusement park, but that's also out in the galaxy too. I think he's going by what he was created to do, programmed to do. He's not going too much beyond that, but it's like, I've encountered these AI units before that have been made for a specific job like this. So did you give Terry the dream? Yes, you did, along with others. Who are who are the others? You say others. Can man, that pollen. Mm, what? Who else is with you, Lauren? Who's in the tent that you're? It looks like the old timey, no, like amusement park, fair, World Fair type setting, like or 1900s look vibe. So who else is with you? I sense several others that they're not out in the open. Who are you, please? Uh, can you come out in the open so I can see you? Yeah, there's a proverbial United Nations there. Okay. Hello. You have a spokesperson. There's a guy that looks like a duck. Okay. Kind of looks like the Marvel character, the duck guy, a little bit, but shorter. Hey, this guy's yellow like Tweety. So, yeah. Okay. Who was the one that communicated with Terry, or was that all of you? To an extent, all of you. So, why are you hiding? Why was the Hulk guy so pissed off at me there for a minute? Um, they do that. Okay. Uh, Kind of had a Thanos-like appearance with like the skull cap armor on and everything. But kind of like a guard, a bouncer. Okay. Nothing personal. Yeah. No, I get it. So what? Blocking basically blocking the barrier. What dimensional space are you in? Oh, you're on Earth. Okay. Um, I don't know of any fair that looks like that currently. I could be wrong, but unless it's something that's local somewhere. I don't know about that. Um, you can adapt to any fair or amusement park of any kind, even small or large. So you're saying there's one that's during the summer. There's up near the boardwalk. There's a small amusement park fair area over there too. I've always felt somebody was over there, and so like ET was over there somewhere. But what was the specific thing you wanted him to know here? Okay. What's the specific thing you want him to know? God damn that pollen. Okay. Um, hmm. Hmm? Oh, you're giving it to me in quantum. Okay, of course you are. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yes. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. It was just their way of greeting you and welcoming you in. Um, uh, they said some of them have been declared like sideshow freaks, but they're really an alien. And so, uh, yes, or an inner earther, or something of that nature. Like I know the people that have that condition where they have hair on their face. They're related to dogman races. Um, and huh. Yeah, and any of these some of these people that were considered freaks. So yeah, they're ET of some kind. Is that how you come out in the open? To where you can talk to people, as you just have to enter a profession where it wouldn't be noticed, or that people wouldn't acknowledge you as an alien. Yeah, correct. Interesting. So, what what is it that you wish to relay to Terry? They're here and they're always in the background. Yeah, there's literally thousands of you. Yeah, and yeah. What you were seeing with like the little airplanes in the sky, that's their devices that were going around, and they were acknowledging that they're actually in like booths and in like in the background. Do you work? I mean, like, do you own a couple of these things? Yes, and no, like the parks. Not necessarily the parks themselves, but they're more neutral territory, is what you're saying. Yeah, like Busch Gardens and places like that. Exactly. Okay, Disney. They're saying lesser extent Disney. Is it because that's more it's more controlled, Cabal's controlled? Yeah. And so, well, Busch Gardens was too at one point too. So, that's starting to lapse since it changed hands from Anheuser-Busch, you were saying. Hmm. Okay, so let's go one more privatized. All right, to someone else. Okay, good thing you're saying. So okay, who is it that are you all talking in that like quantum like mass field? Because I don't see any one of you actually speaking now. So yeah, there's a bunch of people that all came out to greet you. So it's
Hmm.
uh came out of this big tent. And that tent I think is a spaceship because correct. Okay. All right. Why do you think they have the UFO rides at amusement parks and stuff like that? So okay. And that and it's like in Doctor Who where they thought there was a second floor to a building and it ended up being a spaceship that was holographically grafted onto as a top floor of a building. And the doctor noticed that building wasn't as it appeared in the blueprints and everything. So yes. And also some Mandela effect type stuff is that too, where they no, that's the timeline thing, but there's also the holographic spaceship thing going on too. So mm-hmm. Yes, there's a real functioning ship there. Can you show me what it actually looks like, please? That's a round and a triangular. It's like a disc, but a triangle on top of it, like with a. It's kind of an egg round like the shape, but they can add the holography to where it's the 10. Are some areas where people get abducted that way too in amusement parks? Like, unfortunately, there's other races there that traffic around too. You're trying to stop that crap. Like what they showed in Toy Story 4 with the toys helping the children out and everything in places they didn't disappear. Yeah. And so essentially that's was they're saying they helped write that. So, um, uh, what else do you want him to know? That was it. Oh, that was it. Okay. Is there a specific person?
How
Uh,
do they how do they avoid being seen by the cabal and all that?
um, they're not. They just don't. They just play the game pretty much. They don't reveal themselves generally to us. They can be there as long as they don't reveal themselves as ET. So only as human. But if they thwart the cabal on certain things, they help people, but they're not actually in violation of any treaties at the moment. Uh, like if they would reveal themselves, they would probably then. I mean, other than this way, doing it this way, dreams and telepathy and everything, that's not part of the rules. So I get it. I get it. Because they want to be able to interact normal with everybody. So, well, now you know, guys, if I go to one of these places, I'm going to be actively looking. You realize that? I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Busch Gardens with the damn ghost box and walk around in there now. So it's like, and I'll go down to the one by the boardwalk and diddle around too. So, I don't they don't feel threatened or anything by that. I think there's something changing, so I don't think they're too worried uh about certain things. They don't seem very worried. When you said cabal, they seem to just brush it off. Like, man, like there was nothing like nothing they could do kind of thing.
Hmm.
You know, that's the attitude right now. It's like, uh, and also Tartarian World Unity was that way, you know. They're when the Draco were around, they're like, you know, that they weren't concerned, you know. So that's just how the
Are
feeling.
they
Hmm?
are they considered cyborgs?
Are they considered what?
Cyborgs?
Cyborgs, a couple of them are cyborgs, like Clorin, I believe, is a cyborg. Yes, you could say that. Yes. Yeah, if I could see his true appearance, like I said, he has. I thought these were gill slits, but these are like just parts of the uh, face, like a filter or something, kind of like how gills would be. But he's essentially a robot. So then you have these other, like the guy looks like the duck. Then there are a couple other cyborgs in there. I'm seeing some computer face like implants, like a 7 of 9 thing going on one of them, and so there are a few cyborgs in there. Yeah. Um, they said freak show. Okay. Like if you saw that they're disguised, they would be like would have a bunch of crap on them, like piercings and all this other stuff. So those would be. They're saying some of those are generally would be the cyborgs. If you saw like the guy with 1,000 piercings kind of thing, that's probably some guy that has a bunch of mechanical parts on him. That's part of the disguise, So
Yeah.
not always, but that's the one they choose. So who's the bug guy? I'm seeing an antid in there too. Who's he? Who are you disguised as, friend? When you Oh, okay. I get it. When he's disguised as like a juggler, like you see him like juggling stuff, or like a clown or something like that. Like Isaac would always show himself as a clown. But because he was saying he had a past life as a bug person, they tend to show themselves as like clowns and tumblers and things like that. So okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't feel threatened by this group. They're actually pretty cool. So, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You guys want to go do a future show at some point? Absolutely correct. Yes. Okay. Interesting. So, whoa. You guys are fairly potent psionically. So you have to be for defense. So what is it you wanted to say? Very funny. They're like, catch us if you can, because they know I have gadgets and devices I'll be looking for now with it. And it's just like, they're like, "Nah." So, some of them are funny, like the little duck guy is going, like that. You sound more like a sheep or something. Sorry, but like when he laughs, he goes, like that. So, that's what he sounds like. They're all kind of poking at him. Okay. Um, yeah, you got his number. Yeah, he does sound like a sheep. Yeah, okay. What's your name? I know I made fun of you, but what's your name? Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Isaac goes. He's a quack. Get it? Okay. Okay. And the other little guy went like that to him. What? Meaning is he some kind of medical personnel that you're saying quack because duck, but. Um, Yeah, okay. They're saying I nailed it. Like you actually help injured people. Okay. So quack doctor, bad doctor, get it? Yeah, I know the joke, Isaac. I understand. Okay, let's see. So I knew there was something else to that because he was quick to call him a quack. So, other doctor. Yeah, thank you. What's your name? What's your name? Mm, uh, okay. Uh, Tre, I can't pronounce that. Tre, my vocal cords can't do that one. What's a shorter version of that? Hmm. Did you say no, for crying out loud. I can't even comprehend that word. Okay. Did you say shrink? Shrink? Is that a K in there? Or a Z? Neither, an X. Okay, I can't pronounce your name. Okay, let's see. It's like Shinks or Shanks or Shinks is the closest I can come to that. Okay, close enough. What race are you? Um, mm, mm, Did you say you're an artificial intelligence unit like the other guy? You don't look like one. Okay. All right. I'll write that down. Um, uh, okay. Let's see. All right. I get it. Okay. I'll write down Duckman here. Okay. Interesting. You all seem to have marks of the Galactic Federation on you somewhere too. Am I right? Different departments, yeah, certain areas, yes. Okay. No, I'm not gonna hold that against you, no, no. Just as long as you're not like some of those asses out there. So no. Ooh, let's see. So what did you have any questions for them while they're around?
He's like a cyborg too, or
Yeah, the duck guy is, yeah. He seems to be a, robot genetic modified life form. Uh, so uh So yeah, AI medic. I said quack slash duckman on there. His name is Shinx. 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 Okay.
okay.
I couldn't pronounce it. It was like this long ass like word and with like weird apostrophes and commas and crap in there. I'm like, yeah, I'm not pronouncing that. So it's like, so he shortened it to the first five letters was Shinx. So, okay. Okay. Sorry, I got like a piece of pollen stuck to my nose there. Okay. Okay. Wow. You know what? This show that we're going to do later, I'm thinking this is more oriented with this because I thought it was going to be World of Sasquatch, but I don't think so. No, I think this is going to be something else. So, I had a funny feeling that this was going to be something else. I thought it was going to be Lovejoy, but he can do another one. Oh, if that's the case. Wow. Okay. All right. Hmm. Okay, they're sending a lot of loving energy towards us. These guys are genuine. These are absolutely 100% genuine. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. Thank you guys for that. Thank you. All right. Whew. Okay. So, yeah, that energy went skyrocketing when they started getting involved here. Oh, no, so,
Cool.
um, all right. Did you have another dream you want to look into?
You can maybe try one quick one here. This one was really weird. The guy walked into a bar and told the bartender, he said, "Give me a stone." And the guy poured this red liquid on the bar, and then it turned into a stone, like a weird shaped stone. It's so weird.
They're like, okay, this group will answer this one too. They said some species eat rocks and can drink solids. It's weird. Like meaning like their body liquefies it into the thing they need. They pour it out, and that's what that species needs. Is what you're saying? Yes. Okay. Like those weird like movies where you see people eating weird crap, like somebody eating a light bulb, or like somebody like eating nails or some crap like that. This goes back into the freak show thing again. So it's like,
There you
um,
go.
so give me a stone. And then Isaac goes, "That's a beginning to every bad joke you've ever heard. A man walks into a bar, you know."
Yeah.
But in this case, man, yes. Oh, you're making fun of an actual thing now. Okay, let's see. Okay, who is the one that you're making fun of? I want to know. As obvious, not just one, several. Okay, meaning a group. Okay, does this person eat like stone or something like that? Or it's like made of stone or like maybe like Korg from like a Marvel like in Love and Thunder where he's narrating the whole story and everything. Is it like that? Not really. Okay. Uh Is this kind of, oh, you're showing me elements of like Futurama, like where Bender was like eating oil and stuff like that. Is this another machine type of adaptation, or is this not necessarily? This is more like a race that can actually digest rocks. Uh, they'd have a smorgasbord here on Earth with all the concrete mixes and everything. They'd see that as like a perfect if we would clean it. No, you don't need to clean it. You could just literally pick up concrete and rebar and they'd eat it. Okay. They're weird and creepy that way. Okay, I got to see what these guys look like. Can you show me that? This would surprise you. Okay. The hell? This guy's like a midget. Oh, he's like, I thought he was going to be this big hulking person. Like, you think rocks, you think like big,
Yeah.
but no, these guys are like 4 feet high and they're like, uh, and they eat rocks. And they can like unhinge their jaw and eat like this, like big rocks and stuff like that.
Mm.
He goes, they're pigs. Yes, I know. What did the guy that in the dream look like? That's said asked her a stone. What did that guy look like?
I'm not even really sure. I mean, it looked like a guy.
Uh, do they disguise themselves as regular people, but then all of a sudden an alien bartender will go boop and give them what they actually require? Yes, yes, you're right on. It's dead on. That's like I'm seeing like the bartender going here. That kind of thing. It's like real quick here. And the bartender's an ET too. It's like that Twilight Zone episode where you see that diner owner is an ET, and another ET comes in there is thinking he's going to conquer the territory, and the guy that owned the restaurants race was already in the area, was already there, and they were both guys were aliens from different planets. So it was like that's a good example of hedge betting too, where they divvy up territory and do that. So yeah, interesting. So I've noticed this is expanded back out to this type of material now, where it was more negatively oriented, like how to get rid of certain things, but now it seems to be going back into a lot of this more open communication again. So I've noticed. So, oh man,
Yeah.
pollen. Okay. Um, okay, ow. Oh, you guys hate this crap too, is what you're saying. Yeah, okay. So what, I'm looking at this bar. Where is this? I swear this is like in the middle of Boston somewhere. Like like those commercials for Sam Adams, that guy is going around, your cousin from Boston kind of thing, this is an example somebody's using as a joke. Stereotype, yes, but not quite. It's like I'm getting Boston vibes here. I'm getting like some bar or tavern in Boston is what I'm getting. And are you saying Philly has a couple of these too? Yeah, but I hear a couple of them talking like with a Boston accent. I'm hearing that. So Boston, it just lit up like a torch with it. So there's negative shit there too. I know. I've been there. I did a channeling there and paid for it for 6 months. Yeah, I understand. So I get it. Forest people were pretty anxious to get into a spot there too. So what? Oh, they're around too. I know. I see them. I see a few with you. Yeah, yeah. I see you. Who's the guy with no neck? The, who's this guy? The guy that just has really big eyes and he's like this. Who's this guy? No, don't flip me off. What's your name? Let's see. Not making fun of you. I just want to know who. You don't look like the typical forest person. So yeah. Uh, you have like a juggernaut helmet on, so I couldn't tell. Okay, so yeah, you are. Okay, that's a helmet. Sorry. Okay. He kind of has this like juggernaut thing going on, so it's like I didn't know. So,
Yeah.
uh, what's your name? Did you say what your name was? Brian. Okay. Brian. Okay, Brian. Are you like Blim? I ran into another one named Blim that was like a guard. Yes. You're kind of quiet, he doesn't like jokes. Isaac said, okay, let's see. Okay, okay, Brian, Sasquatch, knock him. Okay, knock him, soldier, no, warrior. Yes, okay, I will distinguish soldier and warrior. Yes, okay. All right, and he has like a mechanical arm and everything too. I noticed. So yeah, so you're cybernetic like Levick would be, and them and his sons. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Got your. Oh, I'm sorry. You lost your arm. Sorry about that. Aquatic did it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. No wonder you're grumpy. Okay, I would be too. Okay. Let's see. Oh, now you're laughing. Okay. You know I get it. So okay. When you lose a part or get a part damage, that yeah. Okay. One would think they'd be able to heal that, but okay, and grow a new arm, but okay. Let's see. Man, there's a lot of you here. Jesus. All right. There's something heavy that's disrupting. What is this? Hang on, I think we got some draconian intrusion here. There we go. Yeah, they're thanking me for that too as well. But yeah, I'm getting it's a Boston vibe I'm getting from these guys. That's fascinating. I stopped looking for stuff like this after a while because there were so many lies that popped up. So, but it's interesting when the good stuff resurfaces like that. But that's interesting. Yeah, they're communicating with you, knowing that I'm gonna get the message here. But hmm, okay. I'm still seeing it's this. I keep getting, it must have been where Joanna and I happened to have been years ago. There's like, I'm getting Boston where I'm seeing the bartender, the one you were seeing get the Brock. No, I'm seeing this is an actual spot in Boston, is what I'm getting this vibe. Um, uh, yes. Is the bartender available to talk? Briefly. Okay. What do I want? What do you want? Okay, let's see. You don't have to mask your face, friend. Okay, there. Okay. It still reminds me of that guy from Twilight Zone. He's the diner owner with the paper hat on and everything. So, but no. Oh, you put a shroud up. That's fine. You're protecting your identity. You're okay. All right. So, just what did you want Terry to know? You were obviously in his dream. So, okay. Mm, let's see. Hmm. There's something you're reluctant to talk. Why? Oh, I'm too curious. You're the one that gave the message. So let's see. Um, Isaac goes, yeah, he is slightly retarded. So yeah, all right. The guys give him the finger, but it's because it's because they do things kind of on the down low a little bit. No, I get it. I get it. So what's a name that we can call you? Okay. You call yourself Sean here? Okay. The SH version or the SEA version? SH. Okay. And what race are you? What what planetary system are you from? Did you just say Regulus? I'm not familiar with Regulus. I've heard Regulus as a species name before, but I haven't heard. Is it Regulin or Rigel or? like in Star Trek, there actually is a race called Rigelian. Okay, that's a race in Star Trek as well. So, that's the closest that you can give me. Okay. 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 All right. That works. So, well, thank you, Sean. There is actually a place called Rigel there. Yes, there is. Okay. So Roddenberry nailed it yet again. Okay. That sounds right. That feels right to me. So, all right. Ooh, man, you guys are pretty potent today. Fascinating. So, ooh, mm, dry throat. Okay. Okay. Did you want to ask them anything, or do you want to wait to do a show? Uh,
Yeah, it's nice to meet everybody. I guess we'll talk to them on the show.
okay. Yeah. Well, I think I'll convert that to a lifting episode instead of World of Sasquatch. Sorry, Lovejoy, we can do a World of Sasquatch soon, if that's the case. But you're fine. Okay. So, okay, I think I'll, if you don't have anything else, I'll close the session down and I'll go get Joanna then and we can do that. Okay. Thank you guys. That was actually pretty cool. I had this feeling that was going to change. My intuition was telling me this was going to shift a little bit.
Interesting synchronicity from Gutfeld yet again. They're mentioning The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman in it, saying, oh yeah, in the movie he sang about them and praised their differences and everything. In real life, that P.T. Barnum kept them in cages and all sorts of stuff. We were just talking about this stuff on that show with Terry Gaiman today, with those the amusement park. So again, here everything synchronizes and connects. So yeah, even though it was meant and funny and true history as well. They talked about how there's been ETs intermixed in with that as disguise. So I find that funny. Interestingly funny. So not in a torture sort of way, but you get the idea. Interesting. So it is 7:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, April 6th, 2025. Thank you. Okay, ran into another being by the name of Fred Smoothie. Came to find out that he's another android at an ice cream parlor in that amusement park. So he communicated with Terry, and now we have him. His name is Fred Smoothie. He's open to anybody communicating with him. That, of course, is good. So reach out to that group sometime in the amusement park there. Who watches the Watchers episode. Obviously, this is attached to. So, okay. Thank you, everybody. It is 9:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Thank you.